All right, for this episode of Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics, I have 3 titles to go over, and the first is Terror in the Trenches, Volume 1. There were some images that I've collected. I tried to do where I just hold the book and look, but the lighting was terrible, so um so I'll just, besides, I mean I am going to spoil the other two a little, but geez, but you get the idea of the art style. It's kind of manga influence and that sort of thing. But the Terror, of course, the Black Terror is his public domain, Golden Age superhero, Bob Benton, who was a pharmacist and was experimenting in his lab and came up with this, well, drug that gave him super strength. And so he was kind of, I guess, on the superpower end, that put him in Superman's league somewhat, but for the most part, it was more Batman influence to him. And of course, this take is hyper violent, and I mean, his name is the Terror, and he wants to strike terror in the hearts of evildoers. And of course, he's a Golden Age character, so World War II plays into his story. And I recall it sets it 30 years after the war, which, well, that would put it in the 70s. It doesn't quite look it, but I guess because of the effects of in this case it's a gas that he inhales. He still looks pretty young, and some nasties come looking for him. Out of revenge, they attack his town and all this stuff, and so he's got to come out of retirement and go back at them, but they're not the pushovers he expected. So there's a mad scientist guy who's created a kind of a zombie-like army and this sort of thing. He's got a cute superhero girl who jumps into the fray. Apparently has magic powers, but seems to just shoot people for the most part, and it ends on a cliffhanger. Now, this is a continuing thing with these independent campaigns and whatnot. I really think you want to have at least a more complete story. It's fine to have the obvious indication that it continues on, for your next volume and whatnot, but it can't be engineered in the ways that monthly comics were and that sort of thing. And there's a for the most part, I think just about all the independent titles that I get are kind of like that. And so you got to wait a long time, for the next campaign to go through and all that sort of thing. But it's brutally violent, and it's kind of this odd thing because it's it's almost like humorous illustration wise and the way it's displayed. So I was like, well, how about that? But anyway, the art is very consistent and is well done, and of course the color greatly backs it and emphasizes its appearance and what have you. So I'll back the next one and see how this goes. But it's certainly an example of what one can do with a public domain character, and it's only as good as how you do it as to whether anyone should take interest in it, even though it's not a character that you created. But, you add your own take on it and what have you. So there's Terror in the Trenches. Meanwhile, over at Marvel, the only other title besides Moon Knight that I have any interest in, because the others have all gone to crap, is this miniseries, which I'm assuming is bringing back the Ultimate Universe. So the only survivors of it had been the evil Reed Richards, the Maker, and Miles Morales, the other Spider-Man. After the events of this Secret Wars redo they did. And then that resulted in the Ultimate Universe no longer existed, and then since then Marvel's been slowly destroying the rest of the universe. So it's an intriguing concept, and on the previous issue, I mentioned this kind of reminded me about something they probably should have tried over at DC with Alexander Luthor in Infinite Crisis and stuff like that. Didn't quite do that, but the motivation is kind of the same in of recreating this universe in his own image as what the maker is trying to do, so that he really does become a maker. So, but it's a bit mysterious into this issue, and I still don't know exactly how this could play out. The last issue ended where it shows, yes, he's changing time and creating this universe through time travel and whatnot. I don't know if this means he's doing it to the 616 universe and crafting it more into the ultimate model through his lens, and that's what he did. Rather than, what power did he achieve to recreate a universe that was destroyed or ceased to exist, unless there was some other title would reveal that it did not disappear into the void. It's still there, that kind of thing. And he's manipulating and messing with it. So you get a bit of a tour of this universe where things are very different. Instead of Tony Stark, Howard Stark is Iron Man, one of the examples. And he's merged his company with Stain's company. They're not enemies, they're partners and friends and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of that in there. And then it gives you examples of how things turned out differently. There's no Captain America, and it seems to insinuate he never existed, or but maybe that's a little mystery. He'll show up later or something, and that sort of thing. So, but again, which universe is this? Is this one he made up, or did he do something? And so the 616 universe doesn't exist anymore. It's just the one that he created. Another time shenanigans thing where, it'll get restored later. I don't know. There's different versions of the superhero people who did survive. Hulk has, I guess, become sort of in some sort of Zen cult-like thing, and he's a guru from it. I don't know. Some of the X-Men show up. Don't worry, it does not become another X-Men fashion show. Geez, at least that's not the case. But then, oh no, who are these guys? Well, you got quite a few giant men, quite a few Thors, quite a few Captains America, some Wasps, and a lot of Visions. And the maker says, they're from the future. They're here to kill me. What leads to them in what future, and so on and so forth. You just don't know. And so there's this ginormous battle. But ultimately, Maker is triumphant. They're captured, and he deals with them in a very grisly manner, all for Howard Stark to witness, because he needs Howard's help. And that's a bit of a mystery as well. But then again, it's all time travel elements, and so events have already happened, and he's dealing with that. Something happened in between the issues and that sort of thing. So very much an air of mystery in it. Hopefully the payoff is good. But in the meantime, you've got Brian Hitch's excellent artwork to adore, and as usual, it's very good. So so far so good. I guess it could all fall apart later. And then whatever follow-up, once again, Hickman will establish a new Ultimate Universe, and the potential's there and everything, and then Marvel will immediately ruin it. So enjoy the series while it lasts. But so far, so good on Ultimate Invasion. Finally, another issue of Peacemaker Tries Hard. I was catching up with it last week, and then I realized, the fourth one's already out, and went and got the copy. And it's It's just a fun comic book. It's of course taking from the TV show, but there's hilarious scenes in it. Now this one, I gotta admit, I didn't find as entertaining as the first two until there was quite the payoff at the end. So I mean, there's like jokes here. I mean, this villain and Peacemaker. We get some background of Red B, and Red B is actually a character I knew. He's an old Golden Age character, World War II era, and all that. And there's a flashback of him in those days. But I remember him from All-Star Squadron in the 80s, and he died. But in this new revamped universe, I guess he didn't. He lived on to become Peacemaker's parole officer. So I guess that's a better fate for Red B. And of course, his superpowers has kept him still going, despite really would have long since died of old age by now. But anyway, that's how you explain that. So they've got to go look for the Brain, who has Peacemaker's dog held captive, and they're getting closer, but they end up becoming prisoners of the cartel, I suppose. And of course, oh no, they got to get out. But who's the leader of this gang? Well, what a perfect villain for Peacemaker, a Snowflame, the cocaine-powered supervillain. And yeah, they didn't invent this. This guy was, I don't know, some time ago, and it's like, what? But you're gonna have super criminals involved in the typical crimes that we're all very much aware of. Seems like you would have a cocaine-powered supervillain, and oh look, he's got plenty of supply. So that's the deal. And actually, he's very happy to see Red B and Peacemaker, because he's rather bored with the work he's been doing for the Brain and all that. And so they have a big battle. And like I said, the saving grace is how it ends, which I won't spoil it here, but it does. The solution: how will Peacemaker get out of this? Well, a little friend helps him. And it saves the book, because I was like, I don't know, the jokes aren't landing as good as the last two issues and whatnot, and situations and everything. That really seals the deal in issue 4 of Peacemaker Tries Hard. So yeah, recommending that. So do check it out and have fun with it, and that's the main thing there. It's a very fun book. So anyway, thanks for spending some time with me. We'll do it again next Wednesday on Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics.